Hi, my name is Nicole Baez. Today is October 30th, 2020, and I'm going to be covering Lab 8, which is the cow eyeball dissection. I'm first going to start off by talking about a disease of the eye called glaucoma. Glaucoma is described as a group of disorders that damage the optic nerve of the eye, causing vision loss. A little bit more into detail as to what happens with this disease is the aqueous humor in the anterior cavity of the eye is not properly drained through the canal of Schlemm, and then causes a buildup of pressure in the eye, affecting and damaging the optic nerve in the back of the eye, causing vision loss. This can be prevented if it is tested and treated early. So it is best to start getting tested at age 40 unless it runs in your family, then you should be tested sooner. It can be treated through medications and or laser. And risk factors for this include high blood pressure and diabetes. So it's best to get tested early because if it is treated, then vision loss can be prevented. Moving forward, this is the cow eyeball. This is the anterior portion. So the top of the eye, the most anterior portion of the eye, is the cornea. It is right here. I cut half of it so you can see. It is the protective layer of the eye, and it is clear. It doesn't look clear here, but it is clear and a live organism. And yes, behind it is the iris. And the iris, I'm going to move closer. So behind it is the iris in this portion of the eye. And the iris can get smaller or larger with smooth muscle controlling it, and this allows how much light to let into the eye. In front of the iris is actually the aqueous humor, and the aqueous humor is it is a clear fluid in front of the eye which gives nutrients and moisture to the lens and the anterior portion of the eye, and it also holds the shape of the eye so that there's no wrinkles when letting in light into the eye. So that was the anterior portion, and I'll just be clear, the anterior portion of the eye is from the lens all the way to the cornea. And I said the anterior portion, but it's the anterior cavity. So then behind the iris, and actually in the middle of the iris is a hole, and the opening is called the pupil. So then inside of the pupil is where the lens is, and the lens is a clear like ball. You can see it from this side here and here. It is clear and glassy like, and it can actually it can become flat or it can wad up into a ball, and it changes in order to see near or far objects. So we have the cornea, we have the iris, we have the lens, and now I'm going to go to the back of the eye. So the back of the eye is right here. And this layer right here, this thick layer, is the sclera. It is made of fibrous connective tissue, and it holds the shape and rigidity. I'm just gonna say the rigidness of the eye, and it is also seen as the white layer of our eyeball. And so again, back here, on top of the sclera, there's actually a white layer which is known as the retina, and in the retina there is the rods and cones, which are what are able to tell whether something is colored or not, or whether it's just light. So the cones can tell if a structure is colored, and the rods can tell whether it is just how much light is coming in the eye. So that the retina is on top of the sclera. And actually the retina, when I cut the eye, it wasn't on this layer, but it was on the inside here. So you can see a little bit of the retina right there. And it started to come off, but it didn't come off all the way, and it all landed on the optic nerve. And the optic nerve, the optic disc. And the optic disc is the head of the optic nerve. And so that is where all of the neurons travel from the retina. And here is the optic nerve here in the back. So the optic disc is the front of it, it's the head of it, and the optic nerve is the back. And from there, all of those neurons and information will travel to the brain. So the back of the posterior cavity of the eye is filled with vitreous humor, and this is a fluid that holds the posterior side of the eye in place, and it also holds the retina in place and makes sure that it doesn't move around. And when it does, that is when the retina can be detached, and that is not a good thing. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.